The heart test, yes.
Okay.
The test, probably no. I mean, that's a lot. That's probably 3 times as many as you probably should have to close something out.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a record-breaking day if you include the FaZe series where they had another 8 or 9 match points that ended up going. So we have 20 across the day. A very competitive day in a certain way, but certainly one I think both of these teams that are going to the semifinals from yesterday are going to be regretting.
It tested them mentally in loads, right? Spades and Spades needed there for themselves when it comes to being able to be resilient. And it didn't really stop there for Astralis in terms of difficult decisions being made, because we moved into our draft show and they had to stand there and decide, did they want to go up against Spirit or did they want to have to go up against Mouse in this semifinals? And it feels like the easy option, Maui should have just been taking Mouse, but there was a genuine disagreement happening in the Astralis camp over what they wanted.
I'm not sure what I can leak. Can I leak this?
Well, they said it on stage that Hooksy wanted.
That is true.
That
is true. No, there was a legitimate disagreement within the Astralis camp where Hooksy wanted to take on Spirit.
Yeah.
And also, there was another player on Astralis who had a life game against Spirit at those ESL Pro League quarterfinals, which I've kept referring to. FaZe wanted to play him again. They wanted to run that back. They wanted to see if they could take on Spirit, get a lot of bounty, get a lot of VRS points, and I can't completely blame them. You have the same exact roster that you had then. You were able to defeat them. You probably thought to yourself, yeah, this is legit. We are sick. But the rest of the team said, early game, we don't want that.
That was the sad thing. It
know.
kind of came down to the early game, like the fact that the highest seed has to play first today, Vu. It's like, well, we had our last series. Do we really want to run it back with potentially only like 8 hours after a draining day?
That is the unfortunate part for Mouse. I think you actually were saved. I think Astralis were absolutely saved by this one. Hooksy, known as a bit of an overthinker, they're talking about changing their system going into the major and then changing it again. Yeah. He wanted to pick Spirit. That would have been a catastrophe. That would be a disaster. I am happy they went for Mouse, at least in terms of their chances to win this one.
Well, I want to see what your chances are like in a little mini game as well. You guys can play along at home. Well, you can head on over to Blast TV and you can play a game of higher or lower. It's powered by IC Market. It's a lot of fun. We've seen it time and time again, but will my analyst do better this time around? Is the skin on the right valued higher or lower than the skin on the left? 45. I feel like you kind of got to go lower. That's a pretty high price.
I have
for
that.
skin.
I have that A4. I use that A4. I think it's lower, right?
I heard
was
this
lower when I
yesterday
bought
and he
it for
was wrong.
sure. But
yeah, I know things have changed.
Higher.
It's
No,
higher.
I think you go lower.
It's higher.
Okay. I would listen to Vu. I wouldn't
They
listen
both
to me.
voted lower.
Oh,
wow.
Thank you.
Undefeated in this game. Undefeated.
That's
Undefeated.
not
Okay, then what about
accurate.
this one? What about
That's
this one?
not accurate at all.
This one's all you. Higher or lower?
I think I actually also have this skin.
I saw that skin in 2012.
Yeah, no, it's a really old skin, so I usually would think higher, but the Emperor is nicer. It's a way nicer skin.
It is.
So
Lower.
I'm going to take lower.
Lower. It's going to be higher.
It's higher. Wow.
I knew it.
Wait,
I called
Oh my
it.
God, I'm sitting on
it was
gold.
significantly.
Oh my God.
Maui's inventory might be the far superior out of anyone's
Why am I
inventory.
working? I could retire. I could just.
I called that skin ugly in 2015. Okay, that was the ugliest skin.
No, I still have that one equipped.
Well,
There's no way.
we'll judge you on your Counter-Strike takes, not the skins that you're using in the game there. And let's have a look at our
A friend gave
schedule.
it to me, okay?
Okay, well then friendship wins at the end of the day. You got to power through it. But here we have FaZe up against Spirit. We've talked about our highest seed going first. That did result in FaZe having to face them. And then Astralis taking that later series up against Mouse here.
I'd say the first one, firm favorite. Second one could be actually a little bit more interesting than people expected. Mouse came into the whole tournament looking at one of the firm top 2 teams, but they've shown weaknesses.
The same way I thought Liquid had a very good chance against Spirit if Spirit played like they did online, I think Astralis have a very good chance against Mouse if Mouse play like they did in the quarterfinals.
Well, it's been fun getting to run through, the start of our day here, but we want to turn our eyes towards what is going to be our FaZe and Spirit matchup just after this break.
We're at the Black Bounty with Team Spirit, with Donk, with Magix. In your opinion, how did last season go for you guys? To expectation, beneath expectation, or are you happy with it?
It was pretty expected that the beginning will be shaky as fuck, but at some point we just locked in and played much better. So it's a strong 5 out of 10.
It seems like you put a lot of pressure on yourself to fix things, because before you just got to be, when you were at the beginning of Spirit, you were just a young player. You got to, you always got to have Kevlar on the pistol rounds. Now you're the guy that's dropping guns and but so now it's just a changing of roles, obviously, and perspectives.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a life cycle of Counter-Strike player. You begin with being a prospect, showing great stats, beating a lot of people. At some point you are going more to the entry roles. The other day you're dropping your weapon. The next day you're throwing utility. The other day you're an IGL. If you're a bot, you die in a week. If you are not a bot, you're winning a couple of tournaments as IGL. And after this, you go coaching. And after this is the end.
Broadcast outlet. It's broadcast. Yeah, that's the end. Okay, Donk, how do you feel about your individual performance throughout the years thus far?
Just average, I would say, because I had a good tournaments where we didn't show up as a team, but like individually I felt like I felt great. I can't say that I was consistent as I was last year, but still I think I'm still pretty solid.
You struggled against Falcons at the major. What is it that Falcons, they seem to perform well against you?
No, I just choked the match and that's it. I think it was too important for me to win this major. Like basically I won my second major and like I have like more, maybe like 10 years of career, and just one major is not enough.
If Spirit do anything other than win the trophy, is it just a failure of a tournament?
Everything is a failure unless you win. Yeah. Because have you been a pro player?
Not at this level, not at that.
But just imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine the feeling. Yeah. You go to a tournament, you lose it at some group stage, playoff match, doesn't matter. Next days, you are heading to the airport in a shuttle, and you are full of regrets. It doesn't really always matter how you lost. Even if it was a 50-50, you had all opportunities, you are still full of regrets.
Do you think that FaZe can challenge you guys in any way? Because it seems like maybe the gap is very big between the two teams, like skill level, experience-wise right now, because they have two new players coming in, Twist as a new IGL.
Basically, yes, they have like two players, but they didn't have a players break, because they were playing this Chinese tournament, and after this they play like Boss Bounty, and like they have non-stop grind, and it's like it could make difficulties.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely the underdogs in this game, so I mean, not that big of a pressure. I mean, I'm excited for the game. I'm excited to face Spirit. I mean, I don't really care who we face. I just want to play the game. And yeah, I mean, I think we still can win the game. And yeah, I mean, if we don't win, then I just hopefully we play a close game and some good CS.
I love the eagerness that's coming out of J-Bo in there in the interview, where it goes, we just want it to be at least good Counter-Strike because we know how heavily handed we are as the underdogs right now. But I'm hoping maybe a little bit of momentum is on their side. Even though it was a close and maybe even sticky or messy series, it was enough for them to have confidence that propels them of, we can still take it to Spirit. If we could do it up against another tier 1 team, we can do it up against someone like Spirit.
Yeah, if we can do it against Mongols that just change 2 players and don't have their coach, I think we can definitely do it against Spirit. It seems like
this is why you're not on FaZe.
These are pretty much the same 2 things. What can spot the difference, Maui?
As much as you would want to dress it up, Nat.
Yeah,
that there's
I'm
some
trying.
puncher's chance here for FaZe. I would say that they would be happy if they just had a competitive map of CS. If one of the 2 is competitive, maybe if they steal away and win their map pick, let's see if it gets tricky there, then you could be happy walking away from this tournament. But I think FaZe are already happy. I think that they already beat Mongols. They already were able to move up in the VRS standings. They're going to be getting now a handful of invites into tournaments, which just course corrects them completely after a disastrous previous season where they missed the major now it looks like FaZe is back and going to be competing more regularly at Tier 1 events.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this has been a successful event no matter how this one goes. Jay Bowen is saying if we can make the maps competitive, that would be great. I think if they could pick up a map win, as you're saying, if they could change it up, you might see Cash in this one. I would love to see it. And then you see them pick up a map. I think that's a very successful showing for FaZe.
Yeah, it's interesting to see their journey through round 1, 2, and then of course up against Mongols, because some of the teams, the way that they got there, we were seeing them go up against these big names, really being the underdog and overthrowing what was those expectations. For FaZe, it's been Eyeballers, Dendelay, and then Mongols, right? That's the question mark I have, where it's like, were they ever really underdogs, or were they on the same footing that just ended up proving themselves a little bit more?
The Mongols one is definitely the closest. I know the odds on most of those games did favor FaZe. However, the Mongols one was the biggest coin flip, and with even how Nuke went, I mean, it was neck and neck. So they're very happy about that. I mean, yes, on paper, I think FaZe is supposed to be good, but that's also a Mongols team that went, I think, 2-3 at stage 3 of the major. Yes, they changed some players, but now we know that some of those players are actually pretty decent. So that's why I feel like they actually still have proved themselves at this event.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have the win, like, they played Dendelay beat Furia, right? They didn't have a win that was popping off the page that way, but I think just finding consistent victories, that's already something FaZe has struggled with for quite a while. So starting with that, I'm happy with it.
Circling back to what you briefly mentioned, Maui, is that they're going to be happy walking away with this because of what happens in the VRS rankings for themselves, right? But are they sitting on that cusp? Is it going to put them in like, where exactly is their trend and trajectory looking for them now?
So as far as I know, they're in the running now to get invites for, I think, ESL Pro League, EWC, I think the Thunderpick World Cup, if a team or two drops out of that one. So they're on the cusp. So that's kind of the scary prospect. So that's why, yes, there are still a lot of stakes on this game. Yes, they've moved up in the standings because of the win versus Mongols, but a win versus Spirit, okay, now...
Top 10.
Yeah, they're going real deep now. They're pretty much securing almost all the invites for the remainder of the season. So it is still like a lot up for grabs here for FaZe.
Yeah, when FaZe dropped out of the major, I think the average fan thinks to themselves, we'll see them next season. Actually, if they had failed at this event and a few others, we wouldn't be seeing them this season almost at all. They'd be at home playing in the doldrums of Tier 2. So the results at this event, although nothing jumps off the page, this is incredibly important, and this would be a huge win if they could find it.
I think the other thing that's been jumping off the page, you mentioned him in our pre-show as well, Jay Bowen, the way that he was able to show up against Mongols. He's also the one that we interviewed beforehand where he's like, we're hoping to make it competitive. I feel like that does not rest heavily on him, but if he can have a mirroring performance of yesterday, we are going to see those maps be competitive.
And the thing is that Jay Bowen has absolutely passed the test. The eye test, the stats test, whatever test you throw at this guy, he's been doing a really, really solid job. I'll bring up again the fact that the T-sides for this guy are really something that I don't know if FaZe can rely on, but I've definitely been liking. I think that his spacing between him and Brokey, I think the biggest change I'm seeing is that Brokey was just a little too far back so frequently. Whereas Jay Bowen, he's kind of almost like shoulder to shoulder sometimes with riflers as he's moving forward. And that team's kind of claustrophobic, but he's hitting a lot of shots. And if you can, your spacing can look a little bit clustered, but if you're just actually adding to the firepower force moving across the map, then it actually makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think when you look at Jay Bowen, you also see him as more of a standard opera in that he gets early kills. When you looked at Brokey, he would avoid early duels and then he'd play in the mid round. But as you're saying, sometimes he was a little far back. You see Jay Bowen even comfortable with that. I think he's a very well-rounded opera for how inexperienced he is, for the fact that he came from big academy so recently. To see him comfortable in these chaotic situations, I think is very impressive. And although he had a great tournament coming up into this one, I think this is a Spirit team that's going to make it a little more challenging than we saw him get challenged by Mongols in terms of utility.
We've been getting a lot of good information out of our pre-match interviews. James Banks has been doing a great deal of work there, and so I want to know what exactly sort of information he got out of Jay Bowen just before they came up against Spirit.
Jay Bowen, after the game against the Mongols, it was clear that Twist wasn't satisfied with just how the team played despite getting the win. Did you discuss the reasons why last night, this morning?
Yeah, yesterday we talked about our game. It was like not even close to being good. Like we only played 2 good halves in the whole best of 3. That was our like debrief only about. Like we didn't play as a team, we didn't play together. So many like stupid mistakes. But yeah, I mean, if we can win a best of 3 with only 2 good halves, then we, like, if we step up, then we can, yeah, definitely play better.
What did you discuss exactly? What was it like that you were noticing in the game, and how are you going to make sure it's fixed for today?
I mean, we just didn't listen probably to each other, and we just didn't move together on the map. We didn't really, like, ping pong and connect really good. And yeah, we just need to talk and listen from like round 1, and then it should be better.
Be locked in. That's what it sounds like to me, mate. Looking at this, it's your second event for FaZe, right? And you're both times at least guaranteed semi-finals now, right? If I told you this, say the beginning of the year, that you'd be in a FaZe journey, 2-time semi-finals of LAN events, this kind of prize money, what would you say?
Yeah, they're lying, I guess. I mean, I only joked with my former teammate Widow about it, and that I would join FaZe, but yeah, now I'm here, so it's a bit crazy, yeah.
It is very crazy, but it's looking good so far. And how much are you able to learn from each of these officials that you're getting in tier 1 level? Like, what does the process for you look like in improvement, how you review your games and make sure you keep growing?
I mean, like, the thing I do the most is like talk with our coach about our games. We rewatch it together after the game or the next day after. And then we just like look at my mistakes, look at the team mistakes. And yeah, just try to remind myself of like what I do wrong and what I need to do better.
And looking at some of the things you do wrong, I know like you hit some crazy AWP shots and you're very well measured of how you take the AWP shots. Sometimes though, you're still in positions where you're still in the open. I know you believe you can hit it, but then you might get taken down. Is that something that starts to be in your mind? And how do you deal with not changing so much that you lose your identity, but then you still make the correct shots when needed?
I mean, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think it's a hard question, but
learning, right?
yeah, just learning, and yeah, maybe still some bad habits from like the like other skill level I used to play at, where I could like really abuse these things because like people didn't like abuse it or like abuse me.
Yeah.
So it's just like I need to adapt more.
Okay.
It's a big learning lesson and definitely a question mark when you come up against a team of a higher caliber, maybe say Spirit, if you ever ended up in that sort of situation. Are they going to be able to take advantage of it in the same way, or is it going to still be that little bit of pizzazz that you catch them off guard?
The thing about the Mongols game for Jay Bowen is that he was feasting on players who were not assisted by flashes very frequently. Even the smoke sometimes didn't even disguise the actions of Mongols very well, whereas Spirit, they're just a much more well-oiled machine. On top of that, they shoot way harder. Their understanding of where oppers are likely to reaggress, especially given the fact that they've now seen Jay Bowen play in these environments, so now they can kind of track his habits too. I don't think Mongols was really thinking about how do we anti-strat Jay Bowen. That is something that Spirit, or at least Holly and Magix, have definitely considered coming into today.
Yeah, if we saw anything from their last matchup against Liquid, they absolutely have been preparing for these games. They know the opponents they're going against. They've watched their demos. They're going to be ready for this player. And as much as I want Jay Bowen to do well, this is the same stage, the same type of level, a semi-final on LAN, where I think he had his one bad performance so far. I do worry about that, but at the same time, if he could show something, even one really good map against Spirit, it just continues to up my confidence in this FaZe roster and Jay Bowen as an opper.
But looking more towards Spirit, something that you brought up last time we saw them play Vu is that there is the inevitable. There will always be Donk. And I mean, he is showing up. Something you said is this is going to be, or could be, I don't remember, what was your exact terminology about him being the highest rated, getting his highest rating?
I believe what I said was,
Yeah.
I guarantee.
That's it, guarantee.
I guarantee
You
that
promised
this
me?
will be the best event Donk
Good spray down from Natu, but he's going to have to go